When you look at Kevin Durant and LeBron James, they're both great players. And I got them both in my top 5 ring chasers of all time. Those boys are trying their hardest, jumping from super team to super team, trying to catch up to my 6 rings. But we all know it's never going to happen. And if you ask me who I would take between Kevin Durant and LeBron Diddy James, that's a very complicated question, because one loves attending them Diddy parties, and the other one is a snake that defends himself with Twitter burner accounts. And if we look at how they...
Michael Jordan just did something nobody saw coming. In a private conversation that somehow made its way to the public, the GOAT didn't hold back when asked about today's superstars. And when the names LeBron James and Kevin Durant came up, let's just say MJ's response was ice cold. What he said about their leadership, their mentality, and what it really takes to be a champion, this wasn't just criticism. This was a masterclass in brutal honesty. And the basketball world is still trying to process what just happened.
Okay, go ahead. So let's say, for example, when Steph Curry first came into the league, remember when he had those ankle injuries and stuff like that? You understand that back in the day, he wouldn't have been able to do it so much. You understand that back in the day, they would have tripped him. You understand they stepped on his foot. They done all types of stuff. They got away with everything. You know, because they weren't as protective of the stars as they are now. You were hand checking. You could body cats up. What you would get ejected for and suspended for a week now was a foul.
You know how Michael Jordan operates. The man built his entire legacy on letting his game do the talking. 6 championships, 6 finals MVPs, 0 losses when it mattered most. And for years, he's kept his distance from the drama of today's NBA. Sure, he'll throw out the occasional comment here and there, but MJ has mostly stayed in his lane, watching from the owner's box, running his business empire, and letting the debate rage on without him. But something changed recently. In early 2025, during a private roundtable discussion that was supposed to stay behind closed doors, Michael Jordan was asked point blank about the state of modern basketball. The conversation was casual at first, talking about rule changes, the three-point revolution, how the game has evolved. But then someone asked the question everyone's been dying to hear his answer to. What do you think separates the greats of your era from today's superstars? And that's when MJ decided to keep it brutally real. The room got quiet, because when Michael Jordan speaks on greatness, people listen. This is a man who tormented every opponent who ever stepped on the court with him. A man who famously wouldn't even let his own teammates win at cards because winning was the only thing that mattered. So when he started talking about LeBron James and Kevin Durant specifically, you could feel the temperature drop. What came next wasn't just commentary, it was a dissection, a breakdown of everything he sees as wrong with how modern superstars approach the game, their careers, and their legacies. And for LeBron and KD, 2 guys who've spent their entire careers being compared to Jordan, hearing what he really thinks, that had to sting. The footage hasn't been officially released to the media yet, but enough people in that room started talking. Clips got shared. Quotes got leaked, and now the entire basketball world is on fire trying to make sense of what Michael Jordan just exposed.
In his mind, what it takes to become the greatest, to become as big as he was. So I want you to listen to that clip, and it will kind of explain to you why LeBron James can never be regarded as that unanimous GOAT by all the NBA fans, and some people just simply got turned off by his approach. So take a look.
How old were you when your father actually put
Let's start with what MJ said about LeBron, because this is where things got uncomfortable fast. Someone in the room brought up LeBron's longevity, his basketball IQ, his ability to make everyone around him better. Valid points, right? LeBron's been to 10 finals. He's won 4 championships with 3 different franchises. He's put up numbers that'll probably never be matched. By any objective measure, the man is one of the greatest to ever play. But Michael Jordan wasn't interested in the stats. Leadership isn't about being everyone's friend, MJ said. It's about demanding excellence, even when people don't like you for it. I didn't need my teammates to love me. I needed them to be ready when the moment came. And if they weren't, they heard about it. Now, if you know anything about MJ's career, you know this is exactly how he operated. He famously punched Steve Kerr in practice. He reduced grown men to tears with his criticism. He made practice harder than games because he believed that's what built champions. It wasn't pretty, and it definitely wasn't friendly. But it worked. And then Jordan drew the contrast. When you're trying to befriend everybody, when you're worried about who likes you and who's comfortable, you lose that edge. You lose that fear factor. Greatness isn't supposed to be comfortable. It's supposed to be relentless. The people in that room knew exactly who he was talking about. LeBron's leadership style has always been different from Jordan's. LeBron recruits his friends. He builds relationships. He's the guy who will lobby the front office to sign his former teammates, who will throw birthday parties for his squad, who wants everyone to feel valued and included. To a lot of people, that's growth. That's evolved leadership. That's understanding that you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. But to Michael Jordan, that's soft. MJ didn't stop there, though. He went deeper into the decision-making aspect, and this is where it got really pointed. Without saying the decision directly, Jordan made it crystal clear what he thought about LeBron leaving Cleveland the first time to team up with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. I wanted to beat the best players, not join them. When I lost to Detroit, I didn't call Isaiah Thomas and ask if there was room on the Pistons. I went back to the gym and figured out how to destroy them. That's the mentality that separates champions from great players. Ouch. Social media absolutely exploded when these quotes started circulating. LeBron fans immediately fired back, pointing out that MJ had Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, and Phil Jackson. They argued that building super teams is just the modern version of what every champion has done, surrounding yourself with talent. But MJ's supporters heard something different. They heard a man who never ran from competition, who never needed to orchestrate his path to championships, who trusted that his greatness alone was enough to win. And in their eyes, that's what makes Jordan the GOAT, and LeBron, well, something less than that. Whether you agree with MJ or not, one thing is undeniable. He just questioned the very foundation of how LeBron has built his legacy, and that's a conversation that's not going away anytime soon.
Which I didn't know. I didn't think I would make coming into this thing, but I made this decision that I knew everybody would hate it. I knew everybody would look at me different as a basketball player, and it was hard to wrap my mind around that because that's why I play the game. I want my peers to respect me. I want the greats to respect me. I want fans to respect what I do, and I know that's diminished a bit, and I know that they won't never look at me the same. And that's the hard part for me because I care about that stuff. Basketball is my life, and I want.
If you thought MJ was done after the LeBron comments, you weren't ready for what came next. Because when Kevin Durant's name got brought up, Michael Jordan didn't just criticize, he dissected. Kevin Durant is one of the most talented scorers the NBA has ever seen. 7 foot tall, handles like a guard, can shoot from anywhere on the court. He's won 2 championships, 2 finals MVPs, and he's done things on a basketball court that seem physically impossible. But there's always been that asterisk, that little voice in the back of everyone's mind that whispers, yeah, but he joined a 73-win team to get those rings. Michael Jordan made that whisper a shout. Talent without the right mindset is just wasted potential, MJ said. You could be the most skilled player in the world, but if you take shortcuts to greatness, you'll never truly know if you were capable of getting there on your own. The room got tense because everyone knew what he was talking about. After losing to the Warriors in the 2016 Western Conference Finals, Kevin Durant made the most controversial decision in modern NBA history. He left Oklahoma City and joined the exact team that had just beaten him, the team that had just blown a 3-1 lead in the finals, the team that already had Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. And while KD won 2 championships with Golden State, the criticism never stopped. People called him a snake. They said his rings don't count. They said he ruined the competitive balance of the league. And no matter how many times Durant tried to defend his decision, the doubt remained. Michael Jordan just validated every single one of those doubts. When I won my first championship, I knew I earned it. There was no question in my mind or anyone else's that I beat the best to become the best. Can everyone say that? That's not a question. That's a knife. And here's the thing about Kevin Durant. He's notoriously sensitive to criticism. The This is a guy who created burner accounts on social media to defend himself, a guy who's gotten into arguments with teenagers on Twitter, a guy who's admitted that the criticism gets to him even when he pretends it doesn't. So imagine being KD and hearing Michael Jordan, the man whose legacy you've been chasing your entire career, basically say that your championships don't measure up, that you took the easy way, that you'll never know if you were truly great because you never proved it the hard way. That's gotta hurt on a level that's hard to put into words. MJ pressed even further on the mentality aspect. He talked about how today's stars are too concerned with public perception, too worried about being liked, too soft when it comes to handling adversity. "You think I cared what people said about me?" MJ asked. "I used that as fuel. Every doubt, every criticism, every person who said I couldn't do something, I made them pay for it on the court." That's the mentality you need, not running to podcasts to explain yourself, not arguing with fans online. You prove it where it matters. The implication was clear. Kevin Durant has spent years trying to defend his legacy in interviews, on social media, through the media. He's constantly explaining, justifying, trying to make people understand why his decisions were valid. But in Michael Jordan's world, if you have to explain it, you've already lost. This is where Michael Jordan went from criticizing specific decisions to breaking down an entire generational philosophy. And honestly, this might be the most important part of everything he said. Jordan started talking about mindset, not just wanting to win, but needing to win at a level that borders on obsession. He talked about how every single day of his career was driven by this internal fire that refused to let him be second best at anything. "People think I'm exaggerating when I talk about the killer instinct," MJ said, "but it's real. It's waking up every single morning with this rage to be better than I was yesterday. It's looking at every opponent like they're trying to take food off my table. It's not being able to sleep at night if I lost because I know I let myself down." That's a level of intensity that's hard for most people to comprehend. We're talking about a guy who once scored 38 points in a finals game while battling the flu because losing simply wasn't an option in his mind. A guy who came back from retirement twice because he couldn't stand watching basketball without being the best at it. And then Jordan made the comparison that's going to fuel debate for years. Today's game is about friendship and collaboration. Guys are texting each other during the season, planning vacations together, doing podcasts where they laugh about competing against each other. That's not how I was wired. If you were my opponent, you were my enemy until the final buzzer. I didn't want to know you, I didn't want to like you, I wanted to break you. He's talking about the modern NBA culture, where players are genuinely friends across team lines, where LeBron and Dwayne Wade vacation together in the offseason, where Kevin Durant and LeBron text each other about games, where guys who are supposed to be rivals are actually close personal friends. To Michael Jordan, that's a fundamental problem. "How can you have a killer instinct against someone you're going to dinner with next week?" he asked. "How can you want to destroy someone on the court when you're worried about hurting their feelings? The game has gotten too friendly, and that's why you see what you see." Now, is MJ being old school and out of touch, or is he pointing out a legitimate shift in competitive mentality that's changed the way championships are won? That's the debate. Jordan also went after the social media generation specifically. He talked about how players today are more concerned with their brand than their legacy, how they're crafting narratives online instead of letting their performance speak for itself. "I didn't have to tell people I was great. I showed them every night in the biggest moments, and if you doubted me, I made you look stupid for it." Now, guys are building their legacy through tweets and Instagram posts and carefully managed media appearances. That's not greatness, that's marketing. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. And the thing is, you can see his point. LeBron has multiple media companies. KD is constantly on podcasts and social media, engaging with fans and critics. The modern superstar is as much a content creator as they are an athlete. But does that make them less competitive? Does that mean they care less about winning? Or is Jordan just refusing to understand that the world has changed and athletes have to operate differently now? The truth is probably somewhere in the middle, but Michael Jordan isn't interested in middle ground. In his mind, there's his way, the way that produced 6 championships and 0 finals losses. And then there's everything else, and everything else is inferior. As soon as these quotes started leaking, the basketball world lost its collective mind. Former players immediately took sides. Some agreed with Jordan, saying that the modern NBA has lost its edge, that players are too comfortable with each other, that the desperation to win at all costs has been replaced by a business-first mentality. Others fired back, calling MJ bitter, saying he's living in the past, arguing that greatness looks different in different eras, and that doesn't make one superior to the other. Analysts on every major sports network spent entire segments debating whether Jordan crossed a line or simply told the truth that nobody wanted to hear. The GOAT debate, which was already the most toxic conversation in sports, just got nuclear. Because here's what Michael Jordan just did. He didn't just criticize LeBron and KD's decisions, he questioned their mentality, their competitiveness, their very essence as champions. And when the greatest player of all time questions whether you're truly great, that carries weight that no amount of statistics can overcome. Fans are split down the middle. LeBron supporters are furious, pointing out that MJ's Bulls teams were stacked with talent, that he never had to face the kind of super teams that exist now, that his era was less competitive overall. They're calling this a jealous old man trying to tear down the new generation to protect his legacy. But Jordan fans are eating this up. They're saying MJ finally said what they've been thinking for years, that LeBron's super team era cheapened championships, that KD's Warriors rings don't count, that the modern NBA is soft and MJ just confirmed it. And Kevin Durant? Well, if history is any indication, he's somewhere reading every single comment, every single tweet, every single article about this. KD has a history of being unable to let criticism go. He's going to see what Michael Jordan said, and knowing KD, he's going to want to respond. But here's the problem. What can he possibly say? This is Michael Jordan, the GOAT, the standard by which everyone is measured. You can't argue with 6 rings and 0 finals losses. You can't debate the killer instinct that defined an entire era. Any response KD gives will just fuel the fire. Stay silent, and it looks like he agrees with MJ's criticism. Fire back, and it looks defensive, which just proves Jordan's point about modern players being too sensitive. It's a no-win situation. As for LeBron, he's been in this position before. He's dealt with Jordan comparisons his entire career. He's handled the criticism about the decision, about going to Miami, about leaving Cleveland again for Los Angeles. LeBron's media training is too good to walk into this trap. But privately, you know this has to bother him, because LeBron's entire career has been about chasing Jordan's legacy. Every championship, every finals appearance, every MVP, it's all been measured against what MJ accomplished. And now MJ himself just said that LeBron's approach to leadership and team building is fundamentally flawed. That's the kind of criticism that stays with you. So let's talk about the uncomfortable truth that nobody wants to admit. Michael Jordan might actually have a point. Not about everything. Not about the idea that modern players don't care about winning or that friendship automatically equals softness, but about something deeper. The nature of competition has changed in the NBA. That's just a fact. Players today have more control over their careers than ever before. They can force trades, choose their destinations, recruit other stars to join them. The power dynamic has shifted entirely from franchises to superstars. And with that shift came a change in how championships are pursued. In Jordan's era, you were basically stuck with the team that drafted you unless they decided to trade you. You had to figure out how to win with what you had. You had to develop, grow, overcome, and eventually break through against whatever obstacle stood in your way. Now, if it's not working, you can leave. You can team up with other superstars. You can engineer your own championship roster. And while that's great for player empowerment, it does raise questions about legacy. When you build your own super team, when you choose the easiest path to a championship, does that ring mean the same thing as one you earned by beating super teams? That's the question at the heart of everything Michael Jordan just said, and it's a question that doesn't have an easy answer. LeBron and KD have both won championships. They've both cemented themselves as all-time greats, but there will always be that asterisk in some people's minds, the question of what if that can never fully be answered. What if LeBron had stayed in Cleveland and figured out how to win there first? What if KD had stayed in Oklahoma City and finally broken through against the Warriors instead of joining them? We'll never know, and that's exactly Jordan's point. The modern NBA has created a culture where legacy is negotiable, where championships can be manufactured through free agency and player movement, where the hard road is optional instead of mandatory. Michael Jordan is from a different era, an era where you had no choice but to take the hard road, and in his mind, that's what made those championships mean something. That's what separated the greats from the legends. Whether you agree with him or not, you have to respect the consistency. This is a man who has always believed that greatness is earned through suffering, through failure, through relentless determination to overcome whatever stands in your way. And when he looks at LeBron and Kevin Durant, he doesn't see that same mentality. He sees talent, sure, he sees accomplishments, but he doesn't see the willingness to suffer for greatness the way he did. Is that fair? Is that an outdated way of thinking? Or is it the truth that modern superstars don't want to hear? Michael Jordan just drew a line in the sand. He didn't do it publicly in a press conference. He didn't do it through a carefully crafted social media post. He did it in a private conversation that exposed exactly what he really thinks about the modern NBA and its biggest stars. LeBron and KD just got called out by the GOAT himself, not just for their decisions, but for their entire approach to greatness. And whether you think MJ is right or completely out of touch, one thing is certain: this conversation is far from over. So what do you think? Did Michael Jordan cross the line, or did he just say what everyone's been thinking? Does he have a point about the modern NBA being too soft, or is he just a bitter old legend trying to protect his legacy? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you want more NBA drama, hidden truths, and the stories that don't make the headlines, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell, because this is just the beginning.